the downfall of smooth jazz radio, which of course you're not smooth jazz, but that being one of the main avenues to get the sound out, how do you think that we will now be able to hear your music? What suggestions? What are you doing marketing-wise to make it accessible?
Hey, that's why we
tour and press and just people at live shows and, you know, yeah, the internet. And I think that as smooth jazz radio disappears, maybe there'll be a renaissance again of, you know, more like contemporary jazz, fusion, world, whatever, more diverse radio formats that can feature, you know, what we're doing or what Chieli's doing with special effects, or, you know, Steve with Django. You know, there's so much good music out there and such a little amount that's getting played. So I think that audiences are hungry for fiery live shows, you know, and people that are going to stretch out. I mean, it's a jazz festival, so people should let it all hang out. You know.
Lao also has a 1965 Bonneville two-door coupe with a big loudspeaker on the top, like Blues Brothers. He's often found driving through the valley, blasting his music.
All right, now
that's supposed to be top secret.
You've been doing a lot of collaborations. Is there any one artist out there that you're hoping to be able to work with anytime in the future?
I got the dream band now. I mean, really, being able to work with Karen and Chieli and Steve and everybody, it's a total all-star band, and, you know, just thankful to be able to play with all them. We're just trying to carry this to its full potential and travel the world and have fun.
How are you able to separate the different jobs that you do? Because you work with artists from Lil Wayne to, you know, more R&B sounding, if I may put it that way, type artists. How are you able to keep the balance in terms of, you know, maintaining that sound for each and every artist?
Chieli.
Well, thanks, Chieli here. I think most musicians, whether they're writers or performers, both try to be as versatile as possible. So that's, I mean, we're kind of trained to do that, you know, to be able to adapt to different situations, hopefully. And so I hope that answers your question. Is that what you want?
Well, not particularly. I understand what you're saying, but I would imagine as an artist, yes, you're trained to do that, but the sounds sometimes are so totally different in terms of what a Lil Wayne would bring as compared to what an artist who's bringing what we would term as pure R&B is bringing. So, you know, how do you maintain true to each artist in terms of what you bring to them, what you bring to the table in producing, or you know, or maybe you know, just making that sound stay true to their genre.
This is actually perfect for her. I think she's the one you're asking about these particular artists. Karen's the one who's worked with most of them. So she's asking, like, how do you stay true to the music when you work with lots of different artists from R&B to jazz to
can you grab me a towel or napkins or something?
Yeah, I think a person's signature is consistent throughout the different genres. So hopefully if a person develops their style, like these guys have their own style, way of playing, it doesn't matter what kind of music they play, their signature will still come through.
Do you feel kind of liberated that, you know, with the smooth jazz thing fading, that being contained in sort of a pop formula all the time?
It's wonderful, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, if you look at what this band is doing in particular, you know, there's definitely some fusion elements to it that go back. I mean, we've had a lot of people say that it reminds them of some of the 70s fusion stuff, like Return of Forever or Mahavishnu.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's great. It's like to get rid of the kind of the barriers that have been holding people back, maybe because of the commercial side of it, and just to be creative and play. And, you know.
We feel radio sometimes defeats itself when it doesn't, when it narrows the scope of music.
This is all for the record?
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, at this time, music has changed.
I plead the fifth. No.
Okay.
I think radio in the States, I think, has done a disservice to the music. Yes. But please play our songs.
No, they didn't start out that way, though. I mean, things evolved. I mean, in the late '80s in the States, when my band Special Effects started getting rolling, we had we didn't expect the radio stations to support us, and it was wonderful when they did. And those stations at the time, and there were many of them, played all kinds of music. They played R&B jazz, they played straight ahead jazz, they played fusion jazz, they played Latin jazz. I mean, they hadn't really figured out what was going to make them the most money. It took a few years. Right. And they also became promoters. So radio stations were wonderful for many, many years, but you know, I think that what started to happen was that in the interest of just making a profit, they started to kind of focus in on the one thing, the one sound that worked, right, sound rather than content.
Like, for example, when's the last time you heard violin on smooth jazz radio? I mean, Karen's a virtuoso.
Maybe,
but that'd be the first thing that a program director would say. There's violin on it, we can't play it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
maybe
you know,
Noel Pointer got some airplay, and that was like 20 years ago. That was about it.
I mean, that's a good question, because Chieli and special effects were around 25 years ago.
I remember
my
that.
group has come along this decade where the rules have been all different. It's been much more formulaic and a tighter niche to fit in, and you know.
Well, you could hear Shadow Fax, you could hear... These were the bands, everybody had a particular sound, it was their own sound.
I think especially today where music is ever more commercialized, when you have like American Idol and all these things going, I think that fans are hungry for people to just come out and...
Chantal? My question is to Karen. Karen, Chantal, Fortunato speaking. Really a pleasure to see you play, especially as a woman. A colleague of mine in Cuba, and that we were talking as musicians, that it seems as though a lot of female musicians, well, when we do play, we are good, but that a lot of young women tend not to take up band playing and improvisation as much as male people do. Can you speak to this and give some words of encouragement or thoughts on how we can encourage young women to do that?
Okay, I'm going to say this. It might tick some people off, and I can only tell you from my own experience. You have to find a way to break into the boys' club when they're all together having jam sessions and things like that. It is somewhat of a compromise on your femininity a lot of times. You pick up things that maybe aren't ideal for your femininity, but you know when to do it and when not to, for the sake of finding a balance of a comfort zone between the genders, so they don't feel uncomfortable. And I turned it into a form of humor, I think, and I don't know, I've been in situations where it's just like me and I'm surrounded by all this testosterone. I think it's lovely. I mean,
You're saying you can be one of the guys when you need to be?
When I need to be, yes. But nobody's mistaking me for a guy. I mean,
oh, no.
Obviously.
And there goes the camera.
Zoom it in.
Just checking.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of what has to do with it. I mean, I've met some musicians who are women who, they've been pretty much run over with a bulldozer. They just, they were so soft and so nice, and that's all good at times. With your guy dating, whatever, that's what that's good for. But in a situation like this, you have to forget and just be a musician. Be a good musician and try to learn and be open and listen to what other people are playing and figure out where you fit in the scheme of things, and just try to put that edge that you have on the inside out on the outside and sink it through your music, your instrument.